Every casino ban explained starts with a truth casinos rarely admit. They let almost anyone through the front door, but they are always watching for a reason to walk you back out. Right now, somewhere in Las Vegas or Macau, a face is being scanned, a bet is being flagged, and a decision is made in seconds. By the end of this video, you will know exactly who gets banned, why, and how far casinos go to protect the house. Number 8. Known criminals or blacklisted figures. Let's start with the most obvious ban of all, known criminals and blacklisted figures. Every major casino subscribes to something called the Griffin Book, a private, industry-wide database of banned players shared quietly between properties around the world. If your name lands in it, you are not just banned from one casino, you are banned from almost all of them, sometimes without ever knowing why or how you got there in the first place. In the 20th century, organized crime and casinos were practically business partners, until federal investigations forced a cleanup that changed gambling forever and pushed the industry toward the corporate empires we see today. Today, facial recognition software does what human memory once struggled with. The moment a flagged individual steps onto the floor, security is alerted before they even reach a table, sometimes before they even reach the parking lot. Casinos protect this list fiercely because their entire business depends on trust. High rollers wager millions on the belief that the game is fair and the room is safe. One convicted cheat left unchecked can unravel that trust instantly, and word spreads fast in an industry built almost entirely on reputation. So, casinos share information the way banks share fraud alerts, quietly, constantly, and without mercy. But here's what most people never realize. Being blacklisted does not always mean you did something illegal. Sometimes it just means you were too good at something perfectly legal, and that distinction becomes a lot blurrier the deeper we go. Number 7. High-risk or suspicious individuals. Next comes a much murkier category, high-risk or suspicious individuals. These are not criminals, at least not yet, but their behavior sets off alarms anyway. Think unusually large cash transactions, sudden bursts of betting that don't match a player's history, or patterns that resemble money laundering dressed up as ordinary gambling. Casinos are legally required to report suspicious activity, and compliance teams monitor transactions the same way banks track unusual wire transfers, quietly flagging anything that looks out of place. A single oversized buy-in with no clear source of funds can trigger an internal investigation within minutes, long before anyone at the table notices anything unusual is happening around them. Surveillance teams, sometimes called the eye in the sky, cross-reference betting patterns with financial records, watching for anything that doesn't quite add up. And it isn't only about money. Someone asking too many specific questions about security protocols, dealer rotations, or camera blind spots can quietly land on a watch list without ever placing a single bet. Casinos would rather lose a customer than risk a scandal, a lawsuit, or a regulatory fine that could threaten their entire operating license. So even a hint of suspicious intent is often enough to trigger a quiet, permanent goodbye. But not every ban starts with suspicion. Sometimes, surprisingly, the ban is something a player actually asked for themselves, and that next category reveals a side of the casino industry most people never expect to see. Number 6. Self-exclusion requests. This one flips the entire script. Self-exclusion requests. In this case, the player is the one asking to be banned. Every major gambling jurisdiction offers self-exclusion programs, allowing someone struggling with addiction to formally request that casinos refuse them entry for months, years, or even life. Once enrolled, that person's information gets distributed across every licensed casino in the region, online and offline, often within days. If they try to walk in anyway, security is trained to intercept them immediately, sometimes even escorting them off the property in front of other guests. It sounds strict, but it exists because gambling addiction can quietly destroy lives, and willpower alone often isn't enough to stop it once the pull becomes too strong. Casinos take these requests seriously, not just for ethical reasons, but for legal ones too. If a self-excluded player wins big, and it becomes public that the casino let them play, the backlash and liability can be severe. In some regions, casinos have paid out real winnings to self-excluded players simply because they failed to catch the violation in time. That single oversight can cost a property its license. So behind the neon lights, there is an entire compliance operation dedicated to protecting people from themselves. It is one of the few bans built entirely on compassion rather than suspicion. But not every removal from the floor is this quiet or this kind. And the next category gets a lot more physical. Number 5. Disruptive or intoxicated players. Now for the bans everyone has actually witnessed. Disruptive or intoxicated players. Casinos serve free drinks for a reason. They want you relaxed and generous with your bets. But there is a very fine line they watch closely at all times. The moment intoxication starts affecting judgment, safety, or other guests' experience, security steps in fast, often faster than most guests ever notice. This isn't just about protecting the atmosphere. Overserved players can become aggressive, make reckless bets they later dispute, or even become a liability the casino could be held legally responsible for under local hospitality law. Dealers are trained to notice slurred speech, erratic behavior, or aggression long before it escalates into a real problem on the floor. Once flagged, a floor manager typically offers a warning first, then a walk. Refuse, and security removes you, sometimes permanently banning you from that specific property for good. Chronic disruption, verbal abuse toward staff, or repeated incidents can get a name added to an internal blacklist shared across a casino's other locations nationwide. It might seem like a minor rule compared to fraud or crime, but for casinos, it is a serious liability issue, disguised as a simple hospitality problem. Every incident report is documented, every camera angle reviewed, every witness statement filed away just in case. And while this ban happens in plain sight on the casino floor, our next category happens somewhere far less visible, deep inside the algorithms of online gambling platforms. Number 4, bonus abusers on online casinos. Welcome to the digital battlefield. Bonus abusers on online casinos. Online platforms lure players in with tempting welcome bonuses and free spins, but a whole subculture has emerged built entirely around exploiting them for profit. Bonus abusers create multiple accounts, use VPNs to fake locations, or manipulate wagering requirements to withdraw bonus funds without ever taking real risk. Some even coordinate with friends or use automated bots to systematically drain promotional offers across dozens of platforms at once, splitting the winnings afterward. Online casinos fight back with sophisticated fraud detection software that tracks IP addresses, device fingerprints, and betting patterns in real time around the clock. If a new account plays suspiciously safe bets designed purely to clear a bonus with minimal risk, algorithms flag it almost instantly. Get caught, and the punishment isn't just losing your winnings. It's a permanent account ban, and often a shared blacklist entry that follows you to other platforms owned by the same operator. The stakes are surprisingly high because bonus abuse can cost online casinos millions annually, quietly eating into profit margins meant to attract loyal long-term players instead. It's a war fought entirely in data, invisible to everyday users but taken extremely seriously behind the scenes, with entire teams whose only job is spotting patterns humans would never catch on their own. And if you think that sounds sophisticated, wait until you hear how organized the next group really is, because this is where casino security starts feeling like it's fighting a small army. Number 3, professional syndicates. This is where things escalate. Professional syndicates. These are not lone wolves chasing a lucky night. They are organized teams, sometimes dozens of people, working together with military-level coordination to beat the house at scale, table by table, night after night, city after city. Picture a blackjack team where one player counts cards quietly at a low-stakes table, signaling a spotter across the room the moment the deck turns favorable. That spotter alerts a big player who swoops in and bets large only during the winning stretches, then disappears before suspicion builds around the table. Famous groups like the MIT Blackjack team made this strategy legendary, walking away with millions across multiple casinos before their faces became too recognizable to ignore anywhere in the country, forcing them to recruit entirely new members just to keep playing. Syndicates don't stop at cards either. Some specialize in slot machine vulnerabilities, others in exploiting poker room dynamics, and some even coordinate across multiple countries using rotating rosters so no single face appears too often at any one property. Casinos respond with an equally serious counter-operation. Facial recognition databases shared across properties, behavioral analysts trained to spot coordinated betting patterns, and surveillance teams who study syndicate tactics the way sports analysts study opposing teams before a championship game. Once identified, an entire syndicate can be banned globally within days, their photos circulated to partner casinos before they even land in the next city on their list. It becomes a genuine cat and mouse game, played for extraordinarily high stakes on both sides of the table, with millions won and lost in the balance, and reputations built or destroyed in a single winning streak. But syndicates, for all their cunning, are usually just bending rules to their absolute limit, staying carefully inside the law even as they push against it. The next category breaks them entirely, and what these people build to do it will genuinely shock you. Number 2, cheaters and fraudsters. Now for the section where things turn criminal. Cheaters and fraudsters. Unlike syndicates who exploit legal strategies, these players break the rules outright, and the methods they've used over the years sound almost like heist movie scripts because, honestly, some of them basically were. Marked cards, rigged dice, hidden devices that read chip values, and collusion between dealers and players have all been uncovered in real investigations around the world, some involving years of planning. One of the most infamous cases involved a device smuggled into a casino that could predict roulette outcomes using hidden sensors and a tiny earpiece, netting a crew millions before they were finally caught by a routine security review. Card mechanics, players skilled enough to secretly manipulate a deck during a deal, have conned casinos for decades using nothing but sleight of hand, timing, and clever misdirection perfected over years of practice. Modern casinos fight back with technology that would make intelligence agencies proud. RFID chips embedded inside casino chips themselves, cameras capable of tracking a single card's movement across a table in real time, and algorithms that flag statistically impossible winning streaks the moment they happen, sometimes mid-hand. Once fraud is confirmed, the consequences go far beyond a simple ban. Criminal charges, confiscated winnings, and a permanent spot on international blacklists shared across the entire gambling industry all await, following the person for the rest of their life, long after the courtroom doors close. It's a battle of technology versus deception, evolving constantly on both sides of the felt, each side studying the other's every move, refining tactics after every single arrest and every new headline. Even seemingly small tells, a hesitation, a repeated glance, a pattern in timing, can be enough for trained eyes to notice something everyone else in the room completely misses. But here is the twist almost nobody expects. The final category on this list involves people who never cheated, never broke a single law, and got banned anyway, simply for being too smart, and their story might change how you see casinos completely. Number 1. Advantage players. Finally, we arrive at the most fascinating category of all. Advantage players. These are the players who cause the most controversy in the entire gambling world, because technically, they never cheat at all. Advantage players use pure skill, mathematics, and patient observation to legally shift the odds in their favor, one small edge at a time, hand after hand. Card counting is the most famous example. It isn't illegal anywhere in the world. It's simply mental math, tracking which cards have already been played to estimate what's likely left in the deck. Yet almost every casino on Earth treats it as an unforgivable sin. Why? Because casinos aren't legally required to serve everyone. In most jurisdictions, a private business can refuse service to anyone they choose, and casinos have used that right aggressively against skilled players for decades, often quietly, without ever explaining why to the player being escorted out. Beyond card counting, advantage players study dealer tells, tiny unconscious habits that reveal a card's value before it's even flipped face up for the table to see. Others practice shuffle tracking, following specific clusters of cards through an imperfect shuffle to predict when they'll reappear later in the shoe with surprising accuracy. Some analyze slot machine payout cycles or exploit promotional structures so precisely that the strategy becomes almost mathematically guaranteed to profit over time regardless of luck on any single spin. What makes this category so thought-provoking is the uncomfortable double standard sitting at its core. Casinos market themselves as games of pure chance, yet they aggressively ban the very players who prove that skill, discipline, and probability can actually beat the odds they built the entire industry around. It raises a genuinely fascinating question about fairness itself. Is it truly cheating to simply think better than the house expects you to? Advantage players don't hide in shadows or use hidden devices. They use nothing but their own minds, patience, and years of quiet practice. And casinos have built entire departments dedicated purely to identifying and removing them before they can profit. It's the one ban on this entire list built not around dishonesty, but around genuine, uncomfortable brilliance. Some advantage players have even turned their skills into legitimate careers, writing books, consulting for casinos on security, or teaching others the very math that once got them thrown out the door. And that might be the most fascinating truth in the whole gambling industry, the realization that the smartest person in the room is sometimes the one being quietly walked outside. The final verdict: what casinos really fear. Every casino ban explained tells the same underlying story. Casinos aren't just protecting money. They're protecting an illusion, the idea that chance alone decides who wins. Criminals threaten trust. Addicts need protection. Syndicates and cheaters break the game outright. But advantage players expose something deeper, proof that skill can quietly outsmart a system built to feel unbeatable. Understanding these bans isn't just fascinating trivia, it's a window into how casinos really operate behind the glamour and the lights. So next time you walk past those flashing screens, remember somewhere in that building, an entire team is watching, calculating, and deciding who gets to keep playing the game.